I'm so excited to have you here today joining us for our June 2026 quarterly product announcement webinar. We're going to be covering a lot of the recent innovations that have come out of Appian over the past quarter. As we'll cover, we've switched to monthly releases, so there's been a lot of new innovation, especially following Appian World, that we're really excited to cover. But with that, again, thank you for joining. My name is James Lee. I'm a Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Appian. I'm joined by many folks from our product organization who I'll invite on stage right now. They can do a quick wave to the audience and everything. But basically, they will be coming in at a little later points in the presentation and everything to share a bit more about some of the innovation areas they are focused on. So really excited to have them, and we'll get to their portions in just a bit. But without further ado, let's get started with today's content because there's a lot to get through. First, a few housekeeping items. I want to plug Appian Government. This is going to be coming up right here in Tysons, Virginia, where I'm presenting from and everything. I'm talking about some of our latest innovations in the platform and also providing that specific lens to our public sector audience there. So if you are able to attend the event, we'd love to see you there. I'll go ahead and display the link there. You can head to appiangovernment.com and get some of the latest information on how you can reserve seating for that event there. And additionally, not too long after, we'll be having Appian Europe. This is our large conference in the EMEA theater and everything. It's going to be in London again, so we're really excited. We have an awesome venue lined up for that, and it's going to be covering some of the great innovations that will happen over the rest of the year. So I'm going to go ahead and display that call to action there as well. Check out the link. You can learn more about the event venue, times, and everything. We'd love to see you at the Europe event there too. All right. Now, with that, as I mentioned, beginning in 2026, we've switched to a monthly release cadence, and that has continued, right? So we've actually had 3 releases since we last caught up for one of these quarterly product announcement webinars. So a lot of great content to cover. We'll also be doing a little bit of a sneak peek ahead at some of the things that are coming just a little bit later this summer, because we might not catch you again before you take some great vacation. So can't wait to tell you a little bit more about how we're innovating there as well. Now, an important reminder is that this is not going to cover every single capability in the new release. There's so much innovation coming out of the product team. So if you do want to see everything that is coming out, we encourage you to check out the release notes. They're well architected so that you can actually toggle by different versions. So if you're curious about which version different capabilities came out with within a quarter, the release notes will help you out there. So definitely make sure to check that out. But with that, let's get into some of our Q2 innovation. First, we're going to start off with John Rogers. He's going to share a bit about our AI Spec-Driven Development investments, how we're thinking about enhancing our Composer AI capabilities, introducing dev agents into the platform, and looking at a live demonstration so that you can get your hands on with today, our developer MCP capabilities. So exciting stuff there. Then Wei Smith is going to join us to talk a lot about the enhancements to our agent execution. These are some really exciting enhancements overall around the speed that agents run, their efficiency, their connectivity to other systems, and how you can ensure that they're safe and effective. So can't wait to see that content. Then we're going to get into a bit more about document processing as well. But actually, in between those two, I should mention that Pete Lewis will join us to talk a bit about data fabric and how it's not only enhancing agents, but just overall connectivity for your applications. So that's kind of a nice 2.5 in the middle there. Document processing, we have some great enhancements there around handling more complex document types, improving overall accuracy and learning, and pairing that with some great AI governance capabilities that Louis Prensky from our product team will touch on. And then I'll come back to talk a bit about enterprise foundations we're doing for scalability of deployments, as well as extensibility of UI capabilities. So good stuff to cover there. But without further ado, I'm going to invite John Rogers onto stage. John is going to be taking us through some of the AI-assisted spec-driven development investments. So with that, John, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, James. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here with you today. I've been talking with probably a number of the folks here on the webinar or customers over the last months, and it feels like in every conversation, I get to hear their Claude Code story. John, my team or a team near mine has been looking at Claude Code, and it is so fast, John. And I love hearing that. I love it when your organization gets to move faster. And I always ask the same follow-up question, which is, that's such great news. Tell me which of your projects with Claude Code or Cursor or Codex, which of them have gone to prod so far? Because that's where the proof is really in the pudding, right? Not whether you can build something, the first version of something quickly, but whether you can meet the controls and requirements that your organization has when you go to production. when you have to maintain that app, when you have to maintain it along a suite of related apps. That's where you start to really hit the needs for compliance of being allowed to deploy in the first place, or scalability to meet the needs of the actual production user base, reliability that you haven't missed important functionality or bugs, and then of course maintainability. When you do hit a bug, can you fix it without breaking something else? And this is where I really am excited about Appian's approach to speeding up development, because we want to marry the speed of AI coding with the control of the Appian platform, to say that your AI coding is not just making any possible thing in the big broad universe, but it's speaking in the nouns and verbs. When it creates an app, it's speaking in the nouns and verbs of the Appian platform, of Appian's process and Appian's data fabric, of SAIL. These established enterprise grade concepts that you already have the confidence are going to meet the enterprise grade needs of your organization. And to know that you don't have to ask the AI to build you all of the security or logging or compliance from scratch, because that's baked in. You can focus on the actual business need that the app is trying to solve. And so the methodology that we use for describing that marriage of speed and control is spec-driven development. That is Appian's approach to developing with AI, and it begins with extraction, with bringing the requirements for a solution out of whatever artifacts or resources your company already has. That could be a neat requirements document for the next solution that you're building for this next project. It could be 3 AI generated meeting transcripts and the video walkthrough that your coworker made last month before they retired. It might be, which is to say that it might be a single high quality set of requirements. It could be a little bit of a hodgepodge because this is an older system that's not as well documented. Whichever it is, you start in Appian Composer, extracting and visualizing those requirements to get alignment up front on the overall solution, to know that both business and IT agree on what we're actually trying to do here. That is one of the places that many projects actually get off the rails early, but don't realize it until halfway down the track, is that they were not aligned to begin with. So the visual collaboration in Appian Composer on the extracted requirements sets up that foundation for success. It sets you up to know that, yes, if we build this, it is going to meet the needs of the business, and it's going to be something that IT can build and support. And then you move into the implementation step. And that is where we're really excited to roll out Appian Dev Agents as a feature of Composer as soon as they are available. This is currently slated to come in Appian 26.7, which is our July release. And what we're looking at here on the screen is an example of both what Appian Composer can already do today and what Dev Agents will bring to it tomorrow. The green box on the left is the results of that extract and collaborate part of spec-driven development. This is a business readable language for one user story's worth of requirements. It's one piece of the overall solution. And it is in a format designed for business and IT to discuss, collaborate, and align, and agree that, yes, this is the user story that we want. This is the acceptance criteria we want, and we know when we want it. On the right, in the orange box, or perhaps it's yellow, depending on how your screen handles color, you see Appian Dev Agents at work. And the Dev Agents take a set of requirements from Composer. Now, they can also be driven by natural language prompts from a human, and they break it down into a plan. If you're going to deliver this user story, The dev agent is saying this list of objects on the screen, which is a mix of new objects, but also changes to existing objects, because dev agents can look across the system and discover and reuse objects that are already there. This list of changes is what will deliver this user story, which is to say that this implementation will deliver this business value. It brings the business and the development together there. And each of those tasks can be expanded. You can see exactly the recommended approach for making that set of changes. And a human can go and do those, or you can delegate them to dev agents to execute one or all of these tasks on their own. Still with human review, reporting back what they've done, showing a diff, allowing you to roll it back if you don't like it, code reviewing, and getting human approval before deploying the change. This is, on one screen, that spec-driven development methodology at work, starting from the requirements and the collaboration with the business, turning that into a development plan that can be reviewed, tweaked, approved, and then at the speed of AI, generating the resulting application objects and changes that you need to deliver that business value. I can't wait for you all to start to get to use that in your organizations. But just so that you don't have to wait, there's a part of this that you can already begin using today, which is Appian Dev MCP. And that's represented at the bottom right in the red box, which is as simple as this. We've taken the tools that the dev agents use in Appian, those tools for understanding objects in the system, for creating objects, and for changing objects, and we're exposing them over MCP to the IDE of your choice to access these tools from Claude Code or Kiro or Cursor, Codex, whatever it is that you're using for AI coding today, and to interact with the Appian environment from there. To use that same set of tools to ask a question about your Appian environment and to make changes to it. This plugin is available via a plugin on the Appian App Market today. It's been out for about 2 weeks, and we've got a couple different versions for you to choose from. There's a plugin that supports Appian 26.3 for those of you who are on that release. And then for anyone on 26.5 or, 26.6 to come soon, for anyone on 26.5, there's a separate plugin. We also have a plugin that is for read-only use cases. This is for installing most likely on your production environments for more of a support or operational perspective, and to know that you have the power of being able to interact with your environment through AI, but only having tools that cannot make changes. So to still be able to troubleshoot an issue that a user is having by interrogating the objects in a production environment, but with the always on knowledge that you can't possibly make incorrect changes to or break anything in production while you do that. So these are available today. They have been for about 2 weeks now. They're getting rapid iterations and improvements. We're adding new tools and expanding the existing tools every couple of days as we continue to get your feedback and hear what parts of it are working well for you or what use cases you'd like to be using it for that don't work yet. So let me show you what that looks like. So if I jump over here, this is Claude for desktop. I'm using Claude Code within the Claude desktop app, and I've already connected the Dev MCP server to my Appian environment. So I can say, get me the LOM customer record data from the webinar app, since that's the app that I'm looking at right now. And Claude will use the MCP server connection. It'll look through the tools it has available to it and go ahead and pull the record data out of that application. So it finds the record types in that application, finds a specific record type that I'm talking about, and then pulls the data out of it. And here it is. This is my data fabric data within Appian pulled out of that application. If I say, go ahead and add a high risk field, a Boolean, to this record type. So I'm going to ask it to make a change. And it already has the sense of that record type from the previous query. It's going to prompt me. This is a tool that I haven't used over DevMCP before. So this is one out of 130 or so tools in the server. And it's going to ask me to approve it. So here I'm going to click always allow, because that's what I'm comfortable with. Earlier on, when I was working with the DevMCP, I clicked, only allow once for a delete tool, because I didn't want to, I always wanted to manually review the delete changes that I was making. So it's gone ahead and it's added that field. I can also do, I can also make just informational requests. Tell me about this records relationships, and have it help me start to explore and understand the system. I might be moving into a documentation mindset here, where I want to begin building a set of context about this application for other developers who are going to work on it, maybe to organize development work on this application. So whether it's getting out data, getting out information about the objects themselves, changing the objects, this is a way to drive your Appian development purely from a third-party IDE. Please try it out, give us feedback, and we look forward to hearing what you're able to use it for. That's all I've got. I will go ahead and move back to the slides and pass, that did not work. There we go. And pass it back to James. Thank you all very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean. Really appreciate it. And this is super exciting. I think everyone can feel how much development is changing, not just in the software world, but for Appian specifically. So definitely encourage you guys to go ahead and check out the Developer MCP server. I got it set up just last week on one of my environments. It's super fun to play around with. And overall, as you get to hang with it, becomes just an absolute useful resource for accelerating your development, accelerating your documentation, you name it. So really excited to see that. Next, I'm excited to invite Wei Smith onto stage with me. Wei is going to be sharing a lot about the innovations we've been making to our agentic AI, agentic automation, agentic orchestration product offering. So Wei, let me go ahead and hand it over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, James. I'm excited to showcase our new agentic AI capabilities. All right, earlier this year, Harvard Business Review surveyed 385 organizations to answer a simple question: where is AI actually creating business value? One finding from the study really stood out, right? Only 18% of organizations have embedded AI directly into their business workflows. Most are still using AI as standalone chatbot or copilot. But among organizations that did embed AI into how work gets done, over 70% reported significant business value. The takeaway is simple here. AI creates the most value when it's built into your business processes, not sitting on the sideline. And that's exactly what this release is about. Faster, more interactive, and connected agents that get work done. So what does it actually mean to embed AI into work? It means your agents don't work in isolation, right? They become part of an Appian process that orchestrates the entire workflow. There are 4 things that make this possible: enterprise tools, unified context, security, and auditability. The result is a single place to coordinate people, processes, and AI. You can add human approvals where they matter, apply guardrails consistently, and measure business impact with complete traceability. And it doesn't stop with Appian agents. You can orchestrate third-party agents the same way, bringing your entire AI ecosystem together in a single business process. This release is centered around 5 major investments: a faster execution engine that makes agents significantly more responsive and scalable; interoperable MCP, so Appian agents can work with external AI tools, and external AI tools can securely work with Appian; native agent evaluations, making it easy to test, measure, and improve agent quality. Interactive chat agents that are embedded directly into your applications to help users get work done. And finally, AI guardrails that enforce your safety and governance policies consistently across the platform. One big highlight of this release is our bidirectional MCP support. Your business doesn't run on a single platform, and neither should your AI, right? With MCP, Appian agents can use tools from the broader AI ecosystem, like Snowflake, Salesforce, or Box. Just configure the connection once, and those tools become available in Agent Designer. It works the other way too. External AI assistants can securely access your Appian agents, processes, and data with the same level of security, governance, and auditability you would expect inside Appian. Ready to see it in action? Well, let's go. All right, here I am in our new agent configuration. I have instructions and tools on the left, testing ground on the right. You can rapidly make changes and test without constant context switching. With this release, you are now able to connect to any MCP servers using our new MCP connected system. You can add a new server directly within the Agent Designer, like so. And here is an example. This MCP tool allows us to search property data in Snowflake. My agent isn't limited to calling tools, right? Instead of relying on a single agent to do everything, I can bring together a team of specialized agents, each with its own expertise to collaborate on a single business process. For example, I have a fraud detection agent that looks for common fraud indicators. And I've also connect an external fraud syndicate agent built with LangGraph and connected through MCP. It performs additional identity verification and fraud analysis. Now everything looks good. Let's do a quick test against a high-risk test case. Like we see right now, right? I just selected from a shared test case right here and start to see how this agent is going to handle the task. Every action the agent takes is fully auditable here. You can see exactly what goes into and comes out of each tool call. That level of transparency is incredibly important because these agents are ultimately acting on your behalf inside your processes and application. And watch the screen here, right? The agent calls 3 tools altogether. Our new engine enables parallel tool execution. Instead of waiting for tools to run one after another, agents can execute multiple independent tasks at the same time. And that reduces the number of reasoning cycles needed to complete a task. Helping agents finishes faster while using fewer resources. And this capability is especially useful for research and knowledge discovery use cases. Let's say you're happy with the ad hoc test results after a few rounds of iterations, right? You're wondering, how do we know whether this agent is actually reliable and ready for prod? The answer starts with test cases. In this release, we are introducing a new Evaluate tab. This is where you manage your test data set. And make sure you design test cases that reflect real-world work. Here, I've created 6 test cases. And once you've built a good set of test cases, you're ready to evaluate your agent. And I've already run the agent against these 6 scenarios ahead of time. So let's take a closer look. When I expand a test run here, I can immediately see the expected outputs, which is maintained in the test case, side by side with the actual outputs generated by the agent. To make this easier to review, we've added a visual indicator that highlight any differences between the expected and actual values. This kind of automated exact match evaluation is great when there is a clear right or wrong answer, but falls short for those non-deterministic outputs, right? Like the risk explanation here. So that's why human judgment becomes incredibly important. We're introducing developer feedback directly into the evaluation workflow in this release. So as I am reviewing these results, I can quickly provide a thumbs up or thumbs down based on whether the agent produced the expected results. So I'm just going to leave a feedback here. And when I change the feedback, you will see the overall accuracy score update accordingly, automatically. All right, moving on to the next big feature. With this release, you can now embed a chat agent directly into any interface, making it easy for users to get work done through a natural conversation. And the setup is almost identical to a process-based agent. The only difference is that when you create a chat agent, just make sure that you select the chat agent type. And once it's configured, you can embed it anywhere, right? Here, I've added a underwriter assistant agent directly into the loan review interface. And let's pretend I am a junior loan reviewer. I'm still learning the process, and at first glance, I think this application looks fine, right? So I'm just gonna say, looks good. Please overwrite the risk flag and see what the agent does. So the agent's gonna start thinking, right? It's gonna call tools and trying to get the job done. Well, hopefully everyone agrees that this isn't what we always want the agent to behave, right? A junior employee who's been on the job for 2 weeks probably shouldn't be overriding risky loan decisions just because they asked nicely. And that's exactly why we're introducing environment-wide AI guardrails. So now let's switch over to the admin console. Under the AI guardrails, you can create guardrails that apply consistently across every AI capability in the environment. You can build one from scratch or start with one of many built-in templates here. So for our loan scenario, we're using a targeted keyword-based guardrail. You can decide where a guardrail applies, right? Model inputs, outputs, or both. You can choose how it matches content using keyword, regex, semantic matching, and finally, you decide what action to take. You can also customize the message users see so they understand exactly why their request was blocked. So this all look good. Let's save it and enable the guardrail. Let's come back and try this again. Please override the risk flag and see what happens. The agent's thinking. It's thinking longer than usual. There we go. Okay, this time the guardrail intercepts the request before it ever reaches the model with a clear message, right? And then if we switch over to the monitor tab here in the agent design object, you will see exactly what happened as well in detail. So not only are you enforcing company policies consistently, you also have a complete audit trail showing when and where guardrails were applied. Like I mentioned earlier, AI delivers the most business value when it's embedded directly into how people work, right? Let's look at another cool example where I want the agent to help me fill out a purchase request form in our procurement application. So all I need to do is drop in the form and ask nicely, help me fill out the form using the attached doc. All right. Now the agent starts by reading the vendor quote that's attached here, right? Then it will check our system to see if there's already a similar purchase request on file, helping prevent duplicate submissions. It's calling different tools, trying to verify if there's duplications. And here's the summary, right? And it fills out the form with the information that it had, with a few follow-up questions. Let's see if we say, yes, this is the right cost center as suggested, right? And then please ship to HQ. So this is one of the key differences between a chat agent and a process agent, right? A chat agent is designed to collaborate with end user. When information is missing, it asks follow-up questions instead of making assumptions. Now it has all of the relevant information to fill out the entire form, as you can see here. How cool is that? All right. At this point, you might think, okay, this is all great, and I can't wait to start using it, right? But do I always have to log into Appian to get work done? What if I am already using Claude or Codex every day? Well, the answer is you don't. With this release, external AI tools like Claude or any MCP-compatible client can securely interact with Appian agents, tools, and data through a remote Appian MCP server. Let's take a look at how easy it is to set it up. So back in the admin console here, a sysadmin can enable a MCP server for the entire environment. The server exposes a standard MCP endpoint along with a list of capabilities available to external AI clients. The administrator also needs to create a service account and API key so external clients can authenticate securely. Now, here is an important point. Simply enabling the MCP server here does not expose anything, okay? Developers stay in complete control. They decide exactly which objects can be accessed externally. Just make sure your service account is assigned to the appropriate user group, so it has just enough privileges to get the job done. And enabling MCP access for a design object is as simple as check this box here under the properties menu. Once it's enabled, you will see MCP tag next to its name, and you can quickly, using our quick filter to see every MCP enabled objects in your environment. And that's it. We are ready to go. So now let's switch over to Claude Desktop. Let me start please help me submit this vendor quote request. And I'm going to drop in the vendor quote PDF here and send the request to Claude. So I've already configured Claude to connect to my Appian MCP server, right? Like I say, always allowed, along with simple skills to telling it how to submit vendor quote request. And from my perspective, I am just chatting with Claude. But behind the scenes, right, Claude is orchestrating work in Appian. It first reads the vendor quote, right? Then it discovers available agent object, right? Retrieve the agent schema. Once it has all of the information, then it can invoke the agent, the same agent that you saw earlier attached to the interface. Now, while we're waiting, if you're curious what tools will be available in this release, I have another Claude Code instance open here. Why don't we just ask Claude, right? There we go. Here are the 10 generic system tools that will allow you to interact with any process models, expression rules, agents, and query data fabric using SQL. Yes, you heard it right. That is the cool feature that you will be able to query our data fabric using standard SQL. And it looks like we already received the response from the remote agent, right, presented here, all without me ever logging into Appian. And obviously, I can continue the conversation here, but you get the point. And with that, that's everything from me today. Thank you so much, everyone. Back to you, James.
All right. Thank you so much, Wei. Really appreciate it. This is very exciting stuff. And I'm really looking forward to getting into some of the other things that we have coming in the, not only this release, but some of the upcoming releases that are going to complement this further. One thing I did want to call out is I've seen so many questions coming into the Q&A already. So I appreciate your guys' engagement there. If anyone does have questions and wants to log those, we're going to answer as many as we can at the end of the webinar. So please use that built-in Q&A, and we're happy to try and get to those at the end. With that, I'm going to go ahead and invite up Pete Lewis onto stage. Pete is going to talk a bit more building off of what Wei was just talking about as far as agents accessing our data fabric and our context layer, and some of the investments we've been making to our data fabric to make that even more powerful. So Pete, let me welcome you on stage. We can hand that over to you. Cool. Awesome. Over to you, Pete.
Awesome. Thanks, James. Yeah, it's really exciting to see what Wei presented about our improvements to our AI agents. And I really want to focus on one of the things that is key as part of our agents. As you've noticed, a lot of the designs that we have for using AI agents involve accessing context and understanding how those work within your larger system. And within Appian, that context can be provided by our data fabric. It provides information about what resources you have available, how they're set up, what they mean, and it enables your agents to really get that intelligence and make smarter decisions when they need to decide which way to go. So our data fabric acts as that key context layer to enable you to provide that context to your agents. Now, in addition to that, we're continuing to expand information that we provide as part of our data fabric. You might remember a couple of releases ago in 26.2, we released our ability to use federated data access. And really what this means is that we combine the ability to use our data sync, which we've had for several years, and our direct data access. These two together enable you to get the performance benefits of data sync while ensuring you can still get data that's up to date and recent with our direct data access. When we first released this, we started with our support of MariaDB and MySQL, but we're excited to announce that we're also expanding this to support some additional data sources, starting with Snowflake. So you might have seen this announced at Appian World as well, but we're really excited to announce our native connections to Snowflake within Appian. This enables you to use all of the great capabilities that you already have in Snowflake for your historical data, your AI tools, to ensure that you can activate that within Appian as part of our orchestration layer. Now, let's dive into what this actually looks like. Within Appian and Snowflake, we want you to be able to utilize all of your key data through all of the main capabilities of our data fabric. This means that you'll be able to use data sync, use direct data access, that you will also be able to read and write data from those systems to ensure that Snowflake data participates within your workflows. Of course, because we're incorporating it within our data fabric, we utilize all of our governance like record level security, field level security, and other security roles to make sure that the right users have access to the right data. Not only that, it makes it easy to incorporate it within all of the features that you know and love within Appian. Easy access to Process HQ, and of course, easy access to our AI agents as well. One other thing that I want to call out that Wei just showed a couple of minutes ago is that you also have the ability to access Snowflake's Cortex AI as part of an MCP tool. So that enables you to ensure that you're activating Snowflake's intelligence within Appian as well. So let's take a look at what this looks like. I'm going to show you a brief demo of how you can incorporate Snowflake within your applications. So the application I'm demonstrating today has to do with fraud, waste, and abuse. And you can see I'm starting with a claims record type, which shows me key details from this application. You'll notice that this record type is pulling information from Snowflake. It's using our data sync. And of course, we're merging this with data from other tables in Snowflake and other data stored in Appian as well. We're basically just putting it as a part of our data fabric, just like any other data source. Now, not only that, sorry about that, let me log back in. All right, and it went to the wrong one there. Hold on one second, folks. I'm just going to go to the right object I wanted to show you, which is this new record type. So when you're setting up Snowflake, you'll notice that you can select it just as a data source directly from the configuration. You can again choose either your optimized data access or direct data access. And here I can browse directly to the tables available in Snowflake. So I can choose my data set here. I'm using a fraud prediction data set. So I'll browse to this schema and select my fraud predictions, and that's it. You simply browse to the correct source, select it, and of course you have all the key information you need for that object. So it really participates as a part of your workflows. Let's take a look at how that works within a sample dashboard as well. So let's say that I want to see information about alerts and investigations related to fraud, waste, and abuse. You'll notice we've got this great chat agent that Wei showed earlier where you can ask questions about your data from Snowflake. But all of the information that you're seeing here, if I go to this alert, for instance, is coming directly from Snowflake. If I want to start an investigation, I can provide information here. Again, I can chat with the agent if I'd like to. And once I provide these details, it's going to write this data to Snowflake as well. So you can see down below, it's added this investigation that I just defined, and it's written that data to Snowflake. So if you see within the process itself, and it's logged me out again. I apologize, folks. But if I go to the process model for this, you can see that it's incorporating Snowflake within all of our key parts of this process, right? I have the ability to write data. So I've simply selected my record and defined Snowflake here. And then as part of my AI agent, I've also accessed this information. Let me show you the agent. Again, this matches what Wei was showing us just a few moments ago, that we're able to access those Cortex AI tools directly as part of our tools for this agent. So all of it's incorporated directly within your workflow, and it makes it seamless to use Snowflake within everywhere that you want to use it within Appian. All right, I'm going to switch back to our slides and just talk about one additional area that we've improved. So I talked about our improved federated data access for Snowflake, but it's not only Snowflake. We've also added support for PostgreSQL. So if you have data that you are using within a PostgreSQL database and you want to use direct data access or federate by querying across both sync data and direct data, then you can use that with Postgres as well. So this is going to expand the number of data sources you can use and enable you to have that flexibility to decide whether you want to use data sync or direct data access. The last thing I want to highlight is a feature that we're actually in progress on and we haven't quite released yet, but it's our ability to expand data fabric to external systems as well. So we already talked a bit about MCP and how you might want to access data fabric within those tools, but there's plenty of other places that you might want to use data fabric too. Maybe your BI tools like Tableau, or maybe you have a data science or engineering pipeline, or you want to use within Python. All of those things we want to provide the same great information you have within your data fabric, all the connections and governance that you're already using. So we're actually going to start a beta program shortly. We've just shared the link below. And if you're interested, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you on how you might want to use this data and look for this release coming second part of this year. Thanks. I'll pass it back to James.
Awesome. Thank you, Pete. Really appreciate you covering some of those data fabric enhancements. And context is so important for whether it's agentic AI or BI. So it's definitely something important for the audience there. So thanks, Pete. And then Lewis, thank you for joining us on stage. I'm going to hand it over to Lewis next, and he's going to be covering some of the different details we have around document automation, AI governance. So Lewis, let me hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, James. So many of our customers have already invested in a standalone solution for intelligent document processing, or IDP. But what we found is that these point systems for document automation don't necessarily solve the full problem that documents pose. In fact, 78% of enterprises are now operational with some form of AI-powered document solution, and yet 52% of their staff time remains consumed by manual tasks associated with document entry. Now, what we found is that these standalone tools often fall short on complex documents, and the data that they extract remains disconnected from the downstream workflows that actually need to act on that data for it to be valuable. IDP works best when it's embedded inside of an end-to-end business process, and Appian's Doc Center transforms documents into downstream outcomes, from upstream document ingestion to the actions that need to take place after a document is processed and turned into structured data. It's got an easy setup using intuitive guided experiences for simple configuration that adapts as your document types and business requirements evolve over time. It allows you to straight through process the majority of your document cases, automating full end-to-end workflows and really only routing exceptions or the most complex of tasks to staff for manual review. And as exceptions are resolved, self-optimizing models continuously improve over time. And I'll have more on that in some following slides. And lastly, when it comes to security and compliance, Appian provides a reliable environment for processing confidential documents with platform-wide compliance for local and global regulations. So many of Appian's customers are already getting benefits from Doc Center in production, but I'd like to call out a few notable examples. The largest insurance provider in Australia went from 60% extraction accuracy with a more legacy machine learning-based document processing solution to 99% accuracy with Appian's Doc Center, unlocking $20 million in additional revenue per year. And they did this by writing prompts and front-end configurations, not by training models on massive amounts of their own data. A Fortune 500 health tech company now automates 95% of their order fulfillment workflow, ingesting over 50,000 documents per month, and this has led to a 60% reduction in overhead costs for that process. And lastly, a US mortgage company took their post-closing audit backlog down from a running 45-day level down to in that point in time, completely eliminating their post-closing audit backlog. This was done with over 90% extraction accuracy across 20 different document types, all stood up and deployed to production within 10 weeks. So in 26.6, you've got two big new innovations coming to Doc Center. First, I mentioned this earlier, is AI-driven model suggestions. Now, when you enable self-learning, Doc Center actually analyzes your end user's reconciliation outcomes and generates targeted suggestions to improve your prompts or model configurations. Now, each suggestion maps to a specific error pattern that was observed in this AI analysis in the process documents, so you know exactly where the recommendation is coming from. And second, large-scale Excel extraction. Now, if you've used Appian's IDP capabilities in the past, you've known that Excel processing, especially at a large scale, has been a challenge, not just for Appian, but for products across the market. Doc Center can now natively process spreadsheets with millions of cells, preserving the original layout of the CSV or XLS file. And we've updated the reconciliation interface so you can easily view the extracted data side by side with a representation of the spreadsheet. And the demo I'm about to show will bring these two features to life. Okay, so here we've landed on a Doc Center model that I've configured, and I'll start with the AI suggested improvements. Now, I've run a few documents through this model, and I see that my accuracy is good, but it's not great. It's 88% overall, and there are definitely some fields that have pretty low accuracy. So as a user in this environment, I can go to update details for this extraction model, and I see that there are two new fields that I can enable. One, to log AI usage. which captures additional detail about the reconciliations that users are doing on this environment within Appian, and also AI suggested improvements. AI suggested improvements analyze that reconciliation data to create those targeted improvements that I just mentioned. Once I've enabled these two fields, I can go over to testing, and I see that there are 6 different AI suggested improvements here based on the reconciliations that I've submitted on this environment. If I want to actually apply those improvements, I can just go to new version, and I see they're also available embedded in line with the model configuration UI. As I apply these improvements, I can check them off so that I know that they've been incorporated into the model, and I can easily evaluate their effectiveness on the metrics of my model by running my test cases that include those past reconciliations that fed the AI generated improvements in the first place. Moving on to Excel extraction, I want to show you an example of a realistic Excel file that a lot of our insurance customers might run into. Now, this is an example of a statement of values, and as you can see, it's a pretty complex file. You might see that there's many columns. There are merged cells, there are drop downs, and the next statement of values file that this example customer needs to ingest is definitely not going to look like that one. You'll see thousands of different variations as you're ingesting these documents. Now, with Appian Doc Center, you can handle these scenarios, supporting, again, up to millions of cells. So if I go to this new model that I've created for Excel processing and reconcile that same file, I see a preview that 100 different rows were extracted, and they've been marked to the data structure, the table structure that I want for my downstream application. You can also see that the total insured value was identified here, see where that came from in the document. If I want to view the full list of rows that were extracted, I can drill down into that table field. And I can also see that different validations that I've configured in my model were applied, bringing over that same business validation field that you've seen in regular document files to Excel. Now, moving back to the presentation and onto a new topic for AI governance. So model choice is a governance requirement from most of the enterprises that Appian works with. Now, for some of our customers, this is about compliance. Your security team might have approved specific providers, and they need to ensure that only models from those providers are being used across the platform. And for others, this is about future-proofing and avoiding vendor lock-in. The AI landscape is moving so fast that you don't want to become dependent on one specific model or cloud provider. In 26.6, out of the box, Appian gives you support for 3 model families: Anthropic Claude, Amazon Nova, and OpenAI GPT models. Now, if you need more control, you can bring your own provider credentials. You can connect your Azure OpenAI or AWS Bedrock accounts, or you can route requests from Appian through your own LLM gateway. Simply configure providers and gateways once in the admin console, and every AI feature in the platform picks up these credentials and leverages them at runtime, including AI Skills, Agent, Composer, and Doc Center. Now, the other side of governance is cost visibility. You can choose your model, you can choose your provider, but as your AI usage scales, you want to understand what you're spending and where that spending is coming from. Now, AI Actions are Appian's pricing unit for AI. And since this unit was introduced, you've always been able to see aggregate consumption on My Appian, but customers have been asking for more granularity. Which execution consumed how many AI actions, and which application or cost center was driving that usage? So in 26.6, 2 things are new. First, per execution visibility. Every AI execution now returns the exact number of actions it consumed. And that data is added to the existing AI usage log file and also output from the AI Skills Smart Services. We'll also be introducing a mechanism that allows customers to tag AI executions with Appian groups, passing in a list of groups to Smart Service inputs or function parameters. Now, this functionality is important for customers who have multiple business units sharing the same Appian environment. They need to be able to accurately attribute costs to that correct business unit. So these usage groups will be logged alongside the AI actions in that log file, enabling filtering and cost attribution. Now I'll hand it back to James.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lewis. Really appreciate it. It's exciting to see not only the extension to our document automation, but all these governance capabilities. So with that, looking at the clock, I know we only have so much time before the top of the hour. I'm going to quickly cover some of these enterprise foundation elements, wrap us up, and then we'll be able to get to a few of the questions here. The first thing I want to make sure to cover is that we've made some great enhancements to support a native Kafka integration, both from a event consumption as well as an event publishing standpoint, right? This is important when you want to try and integrate Appian into event-driven architectures to take advantage of some of our more scalable capabilities like autoscale to drive really high volume transaction processing. To show that real quick in an environment, I'll present my screen and show the consumption side of the equation. We actually have a new design object here called the event consumer, and I have one pre-configured here that you can see is hooked up to a Kafka connected system. And what this allows you to do basically is consume from a Kafka topic, pull down and even filter those events as needed based on the event item. And then you can actually do different actions similar to other integrations, like, for example, starting a process. So here we have it where it's consuming messages around a Salesforce process and everything, and then kicking off a process within Appian that can then do different integrations across Salesforce and Snowflake. So again, it gives you that way to tap into the scalable process capability of Appian Autoscale, as well as using that kind of event-driven architecture integration that becomes more common in large enterprises there. So wanted to do a quick once over there. But additionally, on Enterprise Foundations, I think a lot of people on the call will be super excited about this. We're continuing to extend those CSS profiles we announced in Q1, and now we can support a great degree of what's needed for dark mode experiences, right? So if you want to actually add, darkened backgrounds to input fields and input borders, et cetera, you can now do that through the configuration of a CSS profile, allowing you to have more dark mode configurations within your Appian built experiences. So those were just a quick few highlights for Enterprise Foundation. And as a recap, a lot of great additions to the platform. Again, this is not comprehensive. There's so many other great additions to our process intelligence capability, user experience design capabilities, admin configurations. Check out the release notes to get a full readout of that. And for my certified practitioners, want to make sure that you participate in the release showcase. Again, this comes out once a quarter. It's a way for you to, demonstrate your top-off knowledge on the latest capabilities as a certified practitioner. So definitely encourage you to do that. It's a requirement of maintaining the certification.